So although the section behind might present itself in terms of a number of performance cues all melded into one, here we're looking at that input performance cue. Good energy management is the key to overcoming input, making sure that we push through, absorb and push against when necessary rather than getting pushed or bullied by the trail.
Coming through here, we've looked at this rock garden before, but what we've never really focused on is just the effect that all of these little stalls or pushes can have on us, on you as a rider. Being able to come into here in that positive frame of mind and being able to work that energy and push the bike really makes it work. Richard's favourite phrase is it's called a push bike for a reason. In a section like this, that's exactly what we want to be doing, is pushing the bike through. If you imagine two rooms, the first room I take you in, you get pushed. The second room I take you in, you do the pushing. Which one would you rather be in? And it's the same on the trail. If you're pushing this section, you're pushing that energy away from you, you're controlling it, whereas if it's pushing you, you've then got to react to it.
So those inputs can easily, as Ian said, push you, and the key to being able to push against is opening up the levers of the heels and the wrists and staying in the pocket. That will keep your lower body form good, but also, more importantly, the upper body form. Even if your hips are locked nicely in the pocket and your feet are pushing into the pedals hard, it's easy to get a little bit over rotation of the upper body, which throws you onto the front end of the bike and can contribute to even greater stall, which you can easily override by staying up, keeping the chest up, head up, and the wrists dropped, and controlling that upper body form. So in terms of the flight instinct that may be tripped when we see a section like this ahead, that tendency to curl up a little bit, we need to be a bit more positive, get ourselves the upper body up a little bit more, or certainly in a stronger position to push into the bike. The flight side, as discussed, easily kicks in. The opposite for the more confident rider is the fight side, but again that can lead to tension and a solid wall in terms of the upper body, which is less mobile and less fluid, and is going to once it starts rotating forward, is going to lead to more momentum up and over the front of the bike. So don't present your body as a brick wall, be water, as Bruce Lee once said, and flow through the trail.
It's really important again just to think about that awareness of breath. How you're breathing, where you're breathing, just keeps everything moving. It's easy to come into here and think about breathing, but being aware of that breath is much more important. If you're coming in, you're nice and relaxed, and you're conscious of that, you'll go through the section a lot smoother. Whereas if you come in and aren't aware of what that's doing, it's very easy to hold that, and as Richard said, it just tightens you up, loses that flow, and that's what's critical in a section like this.
So if flight-based responses kick in, there may be a temptation to brake once the inputs start affecting the bike. The time for your speed control is before the section so that you can accelerate through. On the flip side, if the fight button's been pressed and we get nice and aggressive about things, or overly aggressive about things, we might carry too much speed in, get too hot on the section as we come in, and then realise that we need to do some late braking. Although the flight and fight instinct might be to grab a whole handful of levers, certainly on the flight side mid-section, it's very rare that grabbing a handful of brake and slowing the bike down dramatically within a section is the answer to your problems. Actually accelerating through sections is where the goal we're aiming for, and that relies on setting everything up there, doing your thinking before you hit the section, keeping that mind ahead of the bike and keeping the decision making way ahead from the action itself. Think ahead, look ahead, and be ahead of the game. So thinking ahead, setting the heel and wrist, opening up those levers, negates all of those pushes, keeps the bike running smoothly, and with the head up, thinking ahead of the bike, it's prepared for what comes next into the next couple of sections and carry that speed right through the trail.